Ready? Cool. So it's October 7th. We got booted from the valley from the government shutdown, so we decided to come check out Shut Eye. It's a pretty sick place, and there was this open project in the book. Tried it. Turned out to be one of the most awesome mid-13 sports I've ever done in my life. So not a bad consolation prize, really.
Give way to the truth if you dig deep enough to the proof of a moral obligation that's lost in the process of trying to compete for the deepest of pockets for profit and labor that comes cheap to slopes that are too steep and some is just out of reach. Listen to the language cause it's hard to speak and it's socially constructed to name and delete, to cheat, to trick and deceive, to create the need for things that we see. Handmade free trade, keep taking advantage of the people who seem weak, the people with real needs. $4 bills in the pockets of the still rich, the same ones that hand stitch the seams of the sickness and hone in on kids that'll work for the cheapest and say they're better off than they were without this. The shirts that we're wearing tell a story, the shoes, the fabric that rests on my back hold the clues, and the threads holding tight to these seams. That's the threshold that hides what is not that we see. The shirts that we're wearing tell a story, the shoes, the fabric that rests on my back, the clues and the threads holding tight to these seams. That's the threshold that hides what is not that we see. These stories give way to the truth, to the struggles, the loss, to choose to not to think and then talk. To think about the places that we step when we walk, to think about the cause and effect, to think about what might happen next, to think about the past and the systems that crashed and the stories we cannot forget. No. Shirts that we're wearing tell a story, the shoes, the fabric that rests on my back hold the clues, and the threads holding tight to these seams. That's the threshold that hides what is not that we see. The shirts that we're wearing tell a story, the shoes, the fabric that rests on my back, the clues and the threads holding tight to these seams. That's the threshold that hides what is not that we see.
Rock at Shut Eye is kind of unbelievable. It's granite, but it's beautiful colors, kind of like the Needles, which isn't too far away. But then there's all these little chicken heads and divots, and it makes for incredible face climbing. There's so many features here that probably the most potential is in like the 5'7" to 5'11" range, really. And then there's a few of these steep walls that are good for harder routes, but yeah, it's incredible rock. Shut Eye is a beautiful place. It's way up here. You feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. You can see Yosemite way off in the distance, but there's pretty much nobody here. So yeah, this is a little gem that probably will be discovered as world-class climbing area someday.